Hey, this is Dave with Rough Notes Magazine. We're all about helping agents and brokers thrive, and we're impressed with what you're doing. Can we feature you and your team on our front cover?
Natalie, tell me the feeling you first had when you found out that your agency was going to be on the front cover of Rough Notes magazine.
I was stunned. I was not expecting it at all. It was a very special surprise.
I bet it was. I bet it was. And have you've been familiar with Rough Notes through the years? I mean, what's your kind of history? What that everybody kind of has their own little story
Yes.
of,
Yes. Well, my dad, who I bought this agency from, and I'm fourth generation of a family owned agency,
okay.
he started giving me Rough Notes magazines right when I started in the industry. So
Mm,
always giving them to me. And so I've been reading them sort of from the get go.
mm-hmm.
And actually, my husband recently left his career. He was an executive at McDonald's. Now he's joined the agency as
Oh,
well. And
wow.
so now he's flipping through Rough Notes every day. And I see him reading through those magazines. So, it's kind of just an entry point, I would say, is in starting in the industry to get a general overview and to learn best practices, what other agencies are doing.
Right.
Yeah, but that's how I became introduced.
And then here you are. Da 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 da.
Yes, I know. So it was really, really a special surprise.
Now, your agency does have some serious history, okay? But I want to give them a little preface. So, you guys, tell us a little bit about your agency. What does it look like? Where's it located? How many people does it have? And what's your niches?
Yep. Okay, so where to start? We are in Lake Bluff, Illinois. So that's where we're located. We are completely in office staff. We don't have any remote employees. This is our one location.
Okay.
There's 15 on our team now. We specialize in property and casualty insurance. So really all kinds of personal and business insurance.
Mm-hmm.
And we're coast to coast. We're throughout the country, but we're really rooted here in the Chicagoland area and Chicago North Shore, probably specializing in the private client space in personal insurance. And then on the commercial side, doing a very broad range, but anything from construction to manufacturing to professional services.
Okay.
So, in terms of how we started, my great grandmother in 1912, before she even had the right to vote, started this agency. So it's a
Wow.
pretty unique history.
It is. It is. I've had a chance to read some of the notes from I guess the person who interviews you to make the story, and it's pretty remarkable. And then where does George come in here? So that we're clear with that. Kind of take us through the lineage. It went through mom, or I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Esther Stone. So Esther Stone was the founder back in 1912.
And how is she related to you?
She's my great grandmother.
Okay, keep
She
going.
was a widowed mother at the time when she founded this agency. And
Okay.
then my grandfather, also George Stone Sr., he joined the agency after he graduated from college. But, if you think all this time through history, a lot happened, right? So he was very
Hmm.
involved in the war,
Wow.
World War II, and he was a code breaker. So the
Wow.
agency really remained small through that time, I would say. It was when my dad, also George Stone, took over the agency that he started really, getting more deeply into the business insurance space, starting to work on larger risks and taking on more on the personal insurance side as well. And like I said, we're now coast to coast. So through
Hmm.
every generation, the business has changed and evolved, but there's not a lot we don't do now.
That is awesome. That is awesome. I know I guess it was probably whoever was giving the interview on George's part. You can see the pride in what they've done, what they feel as if how they've donated themselves to the community.
Yes.
Rough Notes listeners, it was really cool reading this because it gave me I could really hear him saying it, and it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. And then you as well. Now you were really big, kind of in the professional space, professional lines. Am I right? Tell me
Yep.
about that.
In professional lines.
Hmm.
Well, we do a lot of professional services here. I would say that, on the commercial insurance side, we do a lot with consulting firms,
Okay.
law firms, things like that. So just in terms of the clients that we serve, we're very much in that space in professional
Hmm.
services, professional liability. But, like I said, we're really sort of known for our private client practice here at Hill and Stone Insurance. So, families with very high net worth
Gotcha.
that they need to protect and, really more complicated assets, homes on coastal properties, things like that.
Gotcha.
So we work with, partners to make sure that their clients are well taken care of when needed.
So if somebody says to you, why should we do business with you over somebody else? And
Yeah.
you're not allowed to say customer service. Okay. You're not allowed to say that. What would you say, Natalie? Let me say this. What would your team say if they were asked that?
Yeah, not allowed to say customer service. I feel I will now just describe customer service without using the word.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair.
But, there's a couple different factors here. So I think that one is, as you know, there's been so much acquisition in our industry. So many smaller to medium-sized agencies are getting acquired from national brokerages that sometimes can lose that customer service feel. You no longer know necessarily who you're working with.
Truth.
There's a producer you meet, and then there's a handoff, and you don't know who your agent is. So we're fully in office here. I think that's a real part of our secret sauce. There's cohesion between our team when we're working with clients.
Yeah.
So I didn't say customer service, but that's really what that is. But we have national capabilities. We represent every premier insurance company in that space. So there's not an offering that we can't provide when it comes to bidding out coverage, giving the best option. There's no shortcoming by being a smaller agency or being non-national or not a publicly traded agency or whatever it is. We have all those capabilities.
Let me ask you a question coming out of left field here.
Okay.
Have you guys looked at your book and know the longest client you've had?
Oh my gosh.
You guys have?
I don't know the single longest client that we've had, but I've had definitely calls that I've fielded where somebody has said, "Are you George Stone's daughter? Your dad, George Stone, he sold, Boy Scout cookies to me when I was in high school." And they'll have this long history of knowing my grandfather, knowing my dad at a really young age. So the single oldest client, I don't know. But that's always very special to meet some people who have been with us for decades.
Yes. I know a guy, they had their agency back in 1950 something. They were they claimed to be the second oldest agency in America.
Okay.
And they have clients that have been with them for over 80 years.
Yeah.
Now it may be different family, but it's still the same house and they still insure that, that blows my mind.
Yeah.
That's more than life expectancy. And these people are still there. It's just really, really wild.
Yes.
Super wild stuff.
Yeah.
They're also very heavily involved in the community as well. I really hear that coming from you. I hear these strong roots, trusted advisor, face to face. No, we're not scared of handshakes. I imagine, do you have the digital for those people who are trying to become digital and don't want the face-to-face?
Oh, yeah.
'Cause you probably see a lot of that with your high net worth. Yeah, no?
Oh, sure. I mean, yes, the reality is that especially with clients who have multiple properties, we can't. It's not realistic to meet with people face-to-face all the time. We meet them where they're at.
It's
So
true.
certainly we do Zoom
Good
calls
point.
regularly, phone calls all the time, and we do all of that.
Coast to coast, duh.
Yes. So
My
very happy to, however is best for a client, communicate in that way. But, I would love it if every client we could meet with in person. But the reality is we do a fair amount of this virtually.
Isn't it amazing though, Natalie? How much we can get done now by not being face to face all the time. Yes, there's the negatives and pluses. I get that. But overall, I think today we are on so many Teams calls that we forget that that's 5 meetings that there's probably no way we could have done before Zoom or Teams or whatever you're using,
Yes. And you know what? I love working with my team in person. I love that a new employee can just walk into my office and ask a question. I love that if I've been working with a client, I can run over to someone's desk to talk about it. I love that in terms of working with a team. when working with clients, being able to virtually communicate like we are now, it hugely opened doors. It makes it so much more convenient. But, not just that, it's better than a phone call. It really is, because
I
I
agree.
was slow to adopt the Zoom and the Teams and everything.
Mhm.
I was so used to the phone calls and still am. But I do like it. I like to meet face to face. And this is a great way to do that with clients who aren't in town.
Natalie, I got to tell you, it gets to the point now I can't take it. I can't take the phone because I'm losing one of my strengths. And
Mm-hmm.
I've never really realized that, right? That nonverbal stuff. And
Yeah.
it just really, it really, really kind of helps. Now, I would say that overall, I still have the most power face to face.
Mm-hmm.
But the phone, what I do with our customers, well, I don't do it with all, not my producers. I try to get them to do it. But what I do with my customers is that I have, out of our top 10, I deal with our top 3 or 4. My producers are slowly taking over the others,
Mm-hmm.
but they all have Teams or they all have Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
So what I do is I will, when I go into their office, most of them don't have 2 things: microphone,
Mm-hmm.
camera. So I will go buy them their own Logitech camera. I go into their office, hook it up for them, or have their, if it's a larger company, which usually is, their tech team will hook it up for them. And then I have them download it. So now Teams is the best, because now I show them, like, you can just click me here and just leave me a chat and it'll come right back to me and I can chat back and forth and we don't have to do the email thing. Now my team is not the happiest about it because then they have to get it out of there,
I can
to move it
imagine.
over there. But it's a great place to start those conversations and then get it to email and stuff inside of the AMS. But
Got it.
that's a proactive approach I take because I can't take the phone. The phone
Mhm.
drives me nuts. For some reason, I think if I have a problem with a client, I can solve it easier and faster if we're face to face rather than being on the phone. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. What do you think about that, Natalie? If you
Oh
really
my
think about
gosh.
that.
Whether it's face to face and helping a client, I don't know. I don't know that I need to be looking at my client in the eyes to solve their problems
Really?
all the
Okay.
time.
Okay.
I just prefer it as, a communication in terms of
Mm-hmm.
having the relationship. But, we try to be there for our clients in whatever way possible. So for those
Right.
local clients that are in town or on the North Shore, I mean, I can't tell you how many times that somebody's been like, okay, I have water coming through my basement, not really sure first steps. It's like, well, the first step is we're going to drive over an industrial fan that we keep in our office, and
Right.
then we'll connect you to the right resources and partners to help you there. But we just try to do as much outreach as possible, whether it be claim time, renewal time, any touch point.
Are you north or south in Northwestern, the university?
North.
You're north of it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What a beautiful area.
Yep. Yep.
What
That's
an
Evanston.
absolute beautiful area. One of my favorite things is there too, Natalie, and I'm going to butcher this. Well, now I apologize. I can't even the like church shrine
The
type thing.
Baha'i Temple in Wilmette. Yes.
I love that place. I have taken my family, my friends there. It's peaceful. It's awesome. Say it one more time.
The Baha'i Temple.
Baha'i Temple. That's what
And
it
I
is.
believe
Yes.
there's only about 10 of them on
That's
Earth.
right.
And one of
That's
them's
right.
in Wilmette here, and it is beautiful.
Please, Rough Notes listeners, if you just heard what she said, there's literally like 10 of them in the world. And
I don't know if I should be quoted on that exactly, but there are very few. And
Natalie,
yes,
I
some of
think
them are right here.
Natalie, I think there's only 7 or 8. I'm
Okay.
serious. I'm serious. So I think you're right in. Yes, nobody's gonna hold us to this stuff. They know we're just sitting here. Who got on here thinking we were gonna talk about the Baha'i Temple? You know what I mean? So anyways, Rough Notes listeners, they know, but it is. And I think there's like one in India, one in Mexico, one here. I mean, it's crazy. They have the whole story there. Anyway, sorry, totally got off. It's just you keep saying North Shore, and I'm like, man, I've been there many, many times. It's a
Yes,
beautiful area.
it is a
Absolutely
very beautiful area. We're right
gorgeous.
here on Lake Michigan. So I would say Lake Bluff is like the North Pole of the North Shore here in the
Okay.
Chicagoland area. We're
Okay.
about an hour north of the city.
Mhm.
And we really represent clients, all the way from Lake Bluff down to the city. And then again, like I said, throughout the country, but very strong
Mhm.
roots here. And we were founded in Wilmette, where the Baha'i Temple is. So that's where our agency began.
Okay. If you I want you in your head right now, if you would, Natalie, to think of some mentors and leaders that you've had in your life.
Yes.
Okay, think of those. And when you think of those, I want you to think of like why. Give me one, take them down to one in your head, and why would you choose them? And number two, what leadership or what mentoring did you get from them that helps you lead your agency today?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question. And there's been a lot. My
I
dad is
understand.
an obvious one. I work with him. I worked for him. But a specific trait that comes to mind when I'm thinking
Okay.
now of running the agency
Yep.
is authenticity. And my dad has that. I mean, he is who he is. I just think it's really important that your team knows who you are and, knows what you stand for. One of my first bosses very early in my career very clearly had that. And her name was Lisa. It was when I was working at Citibank, but she was a character.
Wow.
But everyone was excited to work for her and work with her because she was so authentic in who she was and her drive. So I think that authenticity
Mm,
is a really important leadership trait. And so
mm.
she comes to mind. But, the biggest mentor in my career has to be my dad, too.
Right. That would make sense. But I love what you said there. There's those people that people just love to work for. It's just like I don't see this as a job because when I come, that leader makes it cohesive. We're all on the same team. We don't feel like we're building something for the owner. We feel like we're building something together, and that's crazy. So, what's craziest thing is, does Lisa know that? You know?
Well, she might because I wrote my business school application mentioning her. So I probably ran that by her at some
Yeah. I
point.
know, but that's cool though, right? If you're Lisa, because you will be
Right.
Natalie, you
Hmm.
will be a Lisa to somebody, and
Hmm.
it's cool because a lot of times you don't realize those things. You don't know. No one tells you.
Right.
So that's really cool. That is really really awesome. So if anybody was outside and besides of what you do, what is something you guys do in your agency? Could be coverage, could be lines of insurance, could be community. What's that thing that you guys do? And maybe it's dad, maybe it's you, that really no one knows about. Really, no one kind of really knows because we don't brag about it. Somebody asks you about it, you may say something. But what's that thing you never really get a chance that you're proud of?
I think the way that we have hired exceptional people at our agency. So
Okay.
I have gone outside of the industry when hiring here. I just want to look at a broader pool of talent. I want to look at some of the smartest, most poised individuals that I can, who I think would be exceptional in this job, but with
Mm-hmm.
training. So, I post basically a fake Indeed ad, and I'm looking for something very broad, like an office manager, an executive assistant, or somebody who might have a lot of skill sets that is in line with insurance. But let's face it, not everyone thinks of this niche industry sometimes. Or I should say, people think of it as very
Mm.
niche, but it's not. There's skill sets that are applicable to a lot of different jobs. So we have found people from all different backgrounds who are exceptional in their own way and train them to be excellent at insurance. So I think that that's really our secret sauce here is just hiring really great people and taking a creative way in doing that.
Rough Notes listeners, I think you have to admit you probably have somebody in your office that's just unbelievable, has great skills, fits the job well, and they probably didn't come to you already knowing insurance. That's a very, very good point, Natalie. That is so wise because I could see that. I'm thinking of my own employees. I'm thinking
Yeah,
I'm thinking like, wow, yeah, that's true. She knew nothing, and we brought her
right.
in, and now she's our claims manager and all this stuff. And I love what you said. Ruffalo listeners, hit that back button a couple times. You put out the fake, ad, whatever it is. I loved what you said though. You go broad, right? A lot of times people are going to be like, well, I want you to have this. You need to have this. You need to have this. And maybe you get them. Maybe that works, right? It works for some people, but why not look for the skills, which if you were an executive assistant and you were detail oriented, and you could follow a routine and process, probably going to work out, and if you want to be a little bit of an insurance geek like Jason and Natalie, you're really going to work out. You know what I mean? So good, great feedback, Natalie. That's wonderful stuff. Huh. And I know it's wonderful because I'm an agency owner and I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like, this is really good. Do you see, Natalie, the benefit I get? Everybody else just gets to listen. I get to listen and ask the follow-up question, Yeah. Anybody, hey, by the way, if anybody else wants to, if you want to host this show and you want to come on, I'm really opening the offer and invitation to you. You can host it for a couple months. That's something we offer. I want this. This is an industry podcast. Natalie, the community is huge. Wrapping up, the community is really, really huge for you. If I sat here and read everything that George wrote about him, his grandpa, you, everybody, we'd be here for another 20 minutes because you guys have done a lot. And I really want to give kudos to you. Like you said, it's a classic what we do as independent insurance agencies. We are a pillar in our community. Financially, with our time, with our mentorship, with anything we can give. And you guys are right there. Tell me one of the things that you guys do that you just don't see a lot of other businesses doing. You got any of those?
A lot of things that we do. Well, we do try to be very involved in the community. And so, part of that is, a commitment to clients and offering additional services to them or things that they care about. And another is just, we've been here for so long. I mean, Lake Bluff and Lake Forest in particular, where we're here rooted and where our office is important to us. So, I mean, we'll host paper shredding events for the community. We sponsor local events. We're very, very involved.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, Esther, I think would be blown the frick away. When she sold that first policy, I guarantee you she never thought that this would be where 2025 was, where it would be. And what a proud thing to be proud of, Mm-hmm. And it's got to be so much easier, not easy, but easier to get employees to buy into it. I think it's cool. And we've known each other for 25 minutes. You know what I mean? So you could only see how somebody who really works there and starts to get into the feeling, the culture, really can start to take pride. And that can be one of the main drivers to making sure that Esther's proud in 50 to 100 years,
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, I got to tell you, Natalie, I'm going to let it go because I don't know about you. It's time for us to go write some policies, or go manage some people. So I do really, really, truly appreciate you. And as I wrap up, any last thing you want to say?
You know what? No, we're just very grateful for the opportunity to be on here and to be featured. Like I said, it was a very special surprise. We have an amazing team here at Hill & Stone. We so appreciate our clients and the support of our community. So, hearing from your team and from Rough Notes to feature us was very special. It's just a nod to how hard our team has been working. So thank you for that.
Hey, thank you. Thank you, Natalie. I appreciate it. There's people who are getting into the industry right now or have been in for just a little bit, and they're looking at that Rough Notes cover magazine, and you're going to be on there. That's pretty cool when you really think about it. What comes around goes around. Mom and Dad were right? There's you work hard, you put in the effort, sooner or later, you'll do what's best and giving back. And that's what Rough Notes kind of is, right? It's us learning from you. And this podcast has taken it from the paper page to the digital stream. Thank you very much, Natalie. Thank you very much, George. Thank you very much, Esther. Everybody for what you're doing out there. Think of how much the impact of your business has been in that whole community for over 100 years. I guarantee you guys have probably given away over a freaking $1 million over the whole time of just money and things, And that's really, really cool to think about because guess what? As independent insurance agents, guys, we don't have to. And really, to be honest with you, we just want to. It's like, this is the greatest industry God ever created. You guys hear me say that all the time. We've got people like Dave out there who actually is him and his team's finding people like Natalie. And then we find people like Natalie and then we bring them onto this so then we can teach each other to get better. I want you to know that doesn't happen in every industry. It really, truly doesn't. Now, I think it's getting more out there, but here's an industry where we are all competitors. We're everywhere, but no one's a competitor. we're just here to help our clients,
Yep.
you know? So anyways, thank you very much once again. To all you Rough Notes listeners, thank you very much. And I will see you again in another month. Thanks.